Hi everyone, Grandmaster Ben Finegold with the third video of the evening. In the last round, I played Thalia Cervantes. She's 2170, 14 years old. She's playing in the U.S. Junior Girls Championship next month here in St. Louis. She's the local participant. She's lived in St. Louis for, I guess, about 3 years. She's originally from Cuba, and I think she's about 400 points higher rated than when she moved here. She was trying hard to get better, and she plays in a lot of strong tournaments. Okay, and I had the white pieces. Played d4. I wasn't sure what opening she would play. She played the QGA. I always play e3. And we got this very standard position. And here I've played two moves in my chess career, if you can call it that. Bishop d3 and a4. I think a4 is easier to play. I don't have to know anything. Bishop d3, there's some tricky lines where you sack a pawn by playing e4 early and sacking your d-pawn, but I've played that, but it was like 15 years ago, so I forgot. I faced the QGA maybe like once a year, so I don't know a lot about it, but okay, a4 stops b5. So, okay, and here most people play c takes d4, and then rook d1 is the most common. I think I've had this position. Just a position. There's 2,000 Grandmaster games. She played Bishop e7, which I'm not familiar with. And I want to go back. A lot of Grandmasters in this position play d takes c5, which is ridiculous, just completely equal. And they play for the smallest of advantages. And sometimes they win, but sometimes they lose too. But d takes c5 isn't the way you should be playing chess. Just terrible. A lot of super GMs do it too. They try to get the smallest advantage possible. Horrible. Okay. So now I play d takes c5 because we're not trading queens, and she's losing a tempo by playing bishop e7 and then bishop takes c5. And I played e4. I remember this position about 30 years ago. I was watching a playoff for the New York Open between Andrei Zadorian from Hungary and Thalia Cervantes, and they had the same position without moving their a-pawns. White's pawn was on a2, black's pawn was on a7. And Yasser blundered here. It was like game in 15 or something. And he played e5, and then bishop takes f7 just wins a pawn, because after king takes, you have queen c4 check, and you win the bishop on c5. So white won that game, which was a Dorian, and then Cervantes won the next game, and then he won the further playoff, so it didn't cost him, I guess. Anyway, Thalia played the most common move, queen c7. Botvinnik has actually had this position several times, which I didn't know, so I'm in good company. Knight g4 is another move, which Botvinnik faced twice against Petrosian, I assume in their World Championship match in '63. I think both games were draws, so knight g4 is a move also. And Botvinnik has also faced queen c7. Okay, e5. I thought she'd play knight d7. Knight g4 is okay also. Bishop f4. And now, I don't want to call this the losing move, but I think it's the losing move. It's a bad move. When you play knight g4, you can't leave your knight on g4. You gotta, do something. So f6 is the normal move because you're trying to win a pawn. Black's gonna win the e-pawn, but black's gonna get doubled pawns. And I think white has an advantage, which the engine agrees, but in practice, the games are draws usually. But okay, I'd rather have white. Black's king is in the center, and black's gonna have a bad pawn structure. Black's bishop on c8 still hasn't gotten anywhere good. Having said that, Thalia played b6, but if you're going to play b6, bishop b7, I think your knight should be on d7, not on g4. Okay, knight c3, bishop b7, knight e4. And if you didn't think she was losing before, her next move is definitely losing. She needs to castle here, because I'm going to play knight d6 check, and she has to get her king out of there. So there was a funny variation where I think black played knight f6 after like h3 because the e-pawn's pinned, which is weird. I never would have noticed that. I guess I'm weak. Yeah, it's tough being weak. Anyway, even if black plays perfectly here, I think white's winning, but the computer says like 1.2 or 1.1. You could argue whether that's winning. Okay, she played bishop e7, and luckily I calculated accurately here and found the winning idea and plan and such. You can pause your video. That way I can get some Perrier. So there you go. and you know, so forth. Continue. Don't mind me. That's the stuff. Okay, so the winning idea for white, if you paused your video and thought about it, is knight d6 check. And after the trade, the idea is, since the knight isn't defended, my knight has lots of discovered attacks, even the drunken one, and one of the discovered attacks wins. So she played the obvious move, queen d7. Computer slightly prefers queen c8, but it's like +4 instead of 4.1. Okay. And now the winning discovery, if you didn't find it before, you can pause your video and try to find it here. I'm not going to have any more period. Knight g5. And the idea is, obviously I'm attacking the knight, but I'm threatening knight takes e6. So, for example, if knight f6, sort of an obvious retreat, I guess, then I take, the queen has to go to d8. It's no other square. And I guess everything wins, but my intention was to play bishop c8 check. And then once I take on b7, I'm forking more pieces and I'm up material. So that was my idea. So Thalia thought a long time, because I'm threatening queen takes g4, and I'm threatening knight takes e6. So she played knight e5. Very interesting move, which I hadn't seen. So I thought a long time. And the idea is, when you win a piece, black gets her piece back by playing queen c6, threatening queen g2 mate, and queen takes c4. So when she played knight e5, I saw this was happening, and I tried to figure out what to do. The engine plays f3, never play f3, and then after takes queen g7. And the idea is that the most obvious move for black is to long castle, because that stops queen takes f7 check, and it stops queen takes h8. But you can't long castle, because I play rook c1, winning your queen. So, well, if you can't long castle here, then you're not going to do too well. So this is like +11, so it's just terrible for black. So f3 was winning the easiest, I guess. And the way I played wins. I played d7 check. And the idea is, if you take with a king, a lot of things win. One is queen d4 check, defending my bishop. Then I can stop mate. Or I could play rook check. And if you go to the e file, your e pawn's pinned. And if you go to the c file, I can defend mate, and you can't take my bishop, because you're on the c file. Although if I didn't win your queen, I'd still be winning, because your position's ridiculous. Okay, so Thalia played the best move. If you take with the queen, obviously you're not threatening queen g2 mate or queen takes c4. So that doesn't make any sense. Okay, so she played the best move, king e7. The problem with king d8 is it hangs f7 with check. And the problem with king f8 is now when I stop mate with, you know, f3 or knight f3 or queen g3, whatever, you can't take my bishop anymore, because queen d6 is winning everything, and then I queen. Okay, so she played king e7, which is best, and my intention was to play knight f3, which I did. If she plays f6, never play f6, I play queen g3, and queen g7 is plus infinity or something. Some number close to infinity. So she played queen c4, and I played queen g5 check. And when she played knight e5, and I saw this position, I mean king f8, I queen. And f6, I play queen g7. And king d7, I fork the king and queen. So that only leaves one move, king to d6. And I figured I'd find something. I think originally, like 5 moves ago, I was going to play rook d1 check. And then I was like, okay, bishop d5, I don't know. It's also winning. But I played knight e5. And that threatens her queen. It threatens knight takes f7 check. It defends my passed pawn on d7. Her king is on d6. And material's equal. So, yeah, this is something like +10 or something. I don't know. The problem is you can't threaten mate anymore, because my queen on g5 is defending mate on g2. And if you play queen d5, I can win your queen. Although I don't have to win your queen, because you're not threatening mate. So there's no real move here. I'm just taking everything, f7, h8. So here she resigned. So that was relatively easy game. I had to find a couple of good moves, but sort of like my first round opponent, Thalia never got around to castling, and her king got exposed, and she got in trouble. Having the black pieces is difficult if your opponent's playing accurately and playing sharp and your king is exposed. It's hard to play well. And that's why usually I try to get my king safe so I don't have these issues. And this tournament, I did get my king safe, but I didn't play well in my second game. So this was a real day for the white pieces. Even though I went with black in round 2, I was in a lot of trouble. My son won his first 2 games. Third game he's probably winning, but it was really sharp and complicated and confusing. I analyzed it with Yasser Seirawan and some other good players after, and we were just confused. His game ended in a draw, so we won the match. 1.5 out of 2, and we tied for first, winning all of our matches. Okay, so that was the tournament I played in today. It started at 11 a.m. and ended about 7:30, and then I came to my hotel and made videos. So there you go. All right, that's probably the last rated tournament I'll play in a while, and for my son as well. He didn't have a good time because chess is just too hard. His last game was really interesting, though. I hope he makes a video about it. Usually my son makes videos on his YouTube page about his blitz games, and a few days ago he beat a grandmaster at a blitz game. He's pretty happy about that. But his last round game was really interesting, so I'm not sure what the computer says. It's too complicated for me. All right, like and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, atlchessclub.com/donate, and our chess center opens September 9th. Go to the Chess Club and Scholastic Center's YouTube page. We're making videos on Sunday and Tuesday and Thursday, and usually it takes 2 to 3 days, and Ben Simon puts them up. All right, thanks for watching. I won't make videos for a while for this channel because I'll be taking a nap, but if you go to the Chess Club of St. Louis's website and go to chess.com, you can see some of my other videos. All right, bye everyone.